CH in their face, let them know I'ma do it, dog. Gold up, make them haters throw up. Throw that blue and gold up, make them haters throw up. Throw that blue and gold up, make them haters throw up. Throw that blue and gold up, make them haters throw up. Throw that blue and gold up, make them haters throw up. Throw that blue and gold up, make them haters throw up. Throw that blue and gold up, make them haters throw up. Throw that blue and gold up, make them haters throw up. Throw that blue and gold up. CH in they face, let them know I'ma throw that blue and gold up. CH in they face, let them know I'ma throw that blue and gold up. CH in they face, let them know I'ma throw that blue and gold up. CH in they face, let them know that. Shut them haters up, you know we go so hard. Chopper hit up in they face, yeah, I'm a bulldog. Number one is what we holding, number one is what we stand. When you step out on that field, let them know you ain't playing. Step back in that pocket, launch it off like a rocket. Pass the pill, run the ball.
Well, that was strange.
I don't know what happened.
Evening, Bulldog Sports Network. It's the Swinney School of Flops founder, Brett Swinney, here with you, with Corey Marshall.
What's happening?
I'm doubly here.
You were...
So, funny story. We're going to start off with a story here. There was a hotspot in my car that I connected to, and then I had weak signal. And yeah, so we had a little struggle there in the opening. That's all fun and games. Corey, how's your day and week going?
Man, it's been a busy week, as you know. It's been a busy week, but it's all right.
Man, we've been calling games like crazy. It's been a 6 games in the last couple of weeks, with one more this Friday.
In what the past, absolutely. What past week we've done? Yeah, it's about 6 games. What, 4 in 6 days, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. We'd like to welcome everyone to the weekly wrap-up show. Those of you that know, our weekly sponsor, as usual, is Zoe Knows Insurance. Thanks, Zoe, for sponsoring. Corey, we have another special guest this week with us. For those of you that don't know this guy, where have you been? You were under a rock. He's the man that provides all the scores for boys basketball in the state of Texas. He is a hoopsinsider.com man, Mr. Brad Ernst. We're going to bring him on. Brad, welcome.
Hi, how's it going, guys?
What's going on?
Going good.
Yeah,
So
I'm still in the process of entering all the area matchup information. I think I told you earlier when we were talking, and I was up till 1:30 entering all the scores and then looking up then entering all the area matchups, and then between work and everything else, still trying to put in all the area info. So I'll get it by the end of the night.
Oh, that's good. Well, Brad, for those of us that don't know who you are and what you do and what you provide, Can you kind of give our audience a kind of an overview of what you do and what your services you provide?
Yeah, sure. So I run hoopinsider.net, and we're Texas high school basketball 1A to 6A. We've been doing score standing schedules in the past. This past couple years with COVID and everything, we kind of trimmed it down to just doing scores. We've been we keep up with the rankings, and we keep up with the scores for the all the ranked teams, and basically anybody that sends us a score, we'll post it. But what's really been big besides our site has been Twitter. I mean, pretty much from Brownsville to El Paso to Amarillo, to Texarkana, there's all over, people follow us and send us scores. So on game nights, I retweet literally hundreds of scores, game updates from people. It's just a constant for a couple hours. You just keep checking your notifications, and new things pop up every couple minutes. So we've gotten really big on Twitter, where we're keeping people updated on the scores and just any info. A lot of people send us the playoff information. So that's where we've been really biggest is on Twitter, getting that information out to people. So
awesome. And can you tell everyone what your Twitter handle is for those that don't know?
Oh, at Hoop Insider.
You've also got a Facebook page as well, correct?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook Lite page, and honestly, we don't post a ton on that, but we do have a Facebook group called Hoop Insider Basketball Talk, and the last year or so, I've really been trying to push that because, there's a lot of coaches and fans in there. That's been the more people we've added, I think we're up to about 1,400 people in there, and it's really the last couple months has really gotten pretty active. There's a lot of people talking in there, so yeah, we're on Facebook, like page in the group, and Twitter. That's our three main places we interact with people.
So I do have to ask, what inspired you to get this going?
So, one of my best friends in school, we're best friends in college. I was in his wedding. He became a high school basketball coach, and I used to go to a lot of his games. I mean, I go to his tournaments and try to catch as many games as I could. He was a couple hours away, but I probably ended up going over half his games. And, just from going to those, I would meet some of the coaches he would meet and stuff. And there was at the time, there's a site called SETX Sports. It's still around right now. They cover Southeast Texas, and they had another website called East Texas. It didn't last but a couple of years, but I just got on there and started posting information because I knew some people, and then I posted my information on there, and people just kept sending me. I had my phone number there, so people just kept sending me stuff, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and that site kind of went under. But then right around that time, I met Chad Cooper, and he had Hoop Insider, and he did Southeast Texas already, and I was covering East Texas. And so this was around 2011. We joined forces, and so I was doing primarily East Texas, and then over the next couple of years, I would go to like Whataburger, and I'd meet people out in West Central and West Texas. So I was like, why don't I cover West Texas? So I started covering Central and West Texas, and then I was like, well, I might as well cover Region 4 South Texas. I've already covered the whole state, most of the state.
Right.
So a couple years later, I was covering Region 4 also. So I think by about 2015, I was covering the whole state. So it just kind of kept growing and growing. Once more people heard about me, I just started making. It's really easy once you start. People know about you. You start making more contacts, and now it's just to the point where like when I go to the state tournament, it's just like I just run into like tons of people that just come up to me and talk to me and say, hey, so I feel like a celebrity or something when I go to the state tournament, because like every bunch of coaches I don't know come up to me, just start talking to me. So it's pretty neat.
It's a free way of networking. Like every coach wants a little tidbit of insight. I'm pretty sure that happens. Logically it would happen, but it's always a way of getting information out there. Especially, I'm pretty sure you're like the central guy for probably scheduling games, maybe scouting reports, all kind of stuff. I'm pretty sure that goes down. But that's awesome.
I don't get I'd say a couple times a week I'll get random texts for people like, hey, you got this coach's number, or this coach's number. I need, but I know like
Right.
I know like TABC members, they give them a list of coaches' numbers. So if you're like a TABC member, you have your list. But there's always coaches. There's always people asking for stuff. But with Twitter too, it's made things a lot easier.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
you can just message somebody else's account now, or message another coach if you need something. So I don't get messaged quite as much as you would think, but I do sometimes, just people asking me for stuff. But yeah, with Twitter, it makes it a lot easier to communicate.
Awesome. Well, I'll give a shout out to Christian. He's here tonight. Thanks for joining us, Christian. One of our normal followers or normal listeners. Sure his dad's probably listening as well. Shout out to Chris.
Right.
All right, Brad. So my first question to you is, and I've talked to you about this, but I just want you to give a perspective for our viewers. How many retweets on a given week do you get?
Well, like a game night, I don't even go back and count, but I know it's in the hundreds. It's at least 200 or 300. It has to be, just because of all the game. Because a lot of people will send us every quarter, and so we'll retweet every quarter. What really wears me out, though, people on Twitter, some people just overdo it. Like they'll send us like I tell people, I go in there and say, look, we have and people don't realize this too. You can if you retweet too many times they'll put you in Twitter jail, where like you get, I guess, because like maybe spam, they think you might be a spam account or something. So if we retweet too much in a short period of times, we've done it. It's happened to us a couple times, and like a couple, like 1 or 2 years we did it in the by district or area around, where there was so much coming at us, we retweeted too much, and it would suspend us for like 30 minutes or an hour, and we had to sit and wait. So we're kind of careful about that. That's why when you watch me on these shows, I say, look, just send me end of quarter, and maybe if it's close at the end of the game, we'll retweet like the last couple minutes. But like, I got people on there sending me like 4 minutes left in the first quarter, a minute left in the first quarter with timeout. I'm like, I got the entire state to worry about. Like, I can't be retweeting like every minute, every update of the game. We'll be in Twitter jail if we do that. So yeah, it's kind of it kind of complicates things, because and then you're like, well, I don't want to retweet people. Like you probably see this too. You got a fan at the game. You got a reporter at the game. You got somebody running both teams' team account at the game. So you're like, should I retweet all of them? I don't think people want to see a score like 4 different times. So it's just kind of a tough thing when you got all these people. You're like, I don't want people to not tag me anymore, but I can't be retweeting everybody, because I'm sure people that are following us are like, okay, I've seen that score 4 times. Like, I don't want to see it again. So it's kind of a balancing act we have to do there on Twitter. So, but if you saw, we just passed 25,000 followers.
Wow!
Congratulations!
That's an accomplishment, man.
I went back, and every once in a while I'd hit a screenshot when we get to a certain amount, and I went and found 7.5 years ago, we were at 1,000 followers. So
wow. Hey, we're almost
Yeah.
there. We're at about 935, I think, on our Twitter handle.
well, maybe you'll get some more tonight.
Hey, I
Right.
hope so.
Hey,
Hope so.
love it. Love
Yeah.
that.
Exactly. So we're going to start off before we started getting into these games that we've been to. This is actually a new thing that we've just come up with. We're going to start doing the weekly wrap-up show player of the week. And tonight it goes to this young lady.
In the quarter. Kick out. There's that girl
Mama,
again.
there
Norwood.
goes that lady.
Fire!
Oh,
She's on fire.
Woo!
It's official. Natalie Norwood is on fire. That's her 5th 3 of the game, and then she steals it.
Mama,
Oh.
there goes that lady.
Holy moly.
Make the bad lady go away.
My goodness. 5 threes on the night for Natalie Norwood. 15. Ooh, Rogers behind the back. Nice move. You left her open
how
again?
is she
No way.
open?
How is
Oh
she
my
open,
God.
fellas? How is she
open?
open? That's the 5th. No. Yeah, 5th 3 this half for Natalie Norwood. What a game. Can I call it early? Can I call the player of the game?
Man, she might be
Listen.
the player of the region.
You know, last week I saw 2 teams get so hot they almost burned the building down.
She's burning the building down
This
by
time,
herself.
no, this is a little different. She about to freeze everybody out of here. She's so cold.
That's Mount Vernon's Natalie Norwood. She ended up with 7 threes on the night, 21 points, and she was in fuego, Corey.
Yeah, you couldn't miss. She couldn't miss. I saw Vince. He had a little cameo. I was waiting for that one.
Oh, man. So shout out to Natalie Norwood, the 5'4" junior from Mount Vernon. Good luck in their regional game this coming up weekend. But Brad, this girl was on fire.
Yeah, I could tell. Yeah,
Whew.
definitely.
I mean,
So
they
that
can't.
was
Y'all
one of the
talked,
better
y'all
games.
talked to Nick last night, right? At TXHSGBB, right?
Yeah, we talked to Nick last week. He was on our show
Yeah.
last week. He actually mentioned the Twitter jail thing. He actually had the same outcome as you. He got thrown in there one time. He said,
Yeah, yeah, and I try to. I don't do it enough, but I try to promote him as much as possible because, well, for one, I don't understand this. Okay, we've been covering boys basketball. We've been doing this for 10 years, and we still, to this day, I have never retweeted a girl's tweet, except for if it's a girls and boys, like the school posts their boys and girls. I have never retweeted a girls basketball tweet, and still to this day, people tag me for girls scores. I don't know what they just hope I retweet them, or they still. I don't know at this point. If you still think I cover girls, I don't know what else to tell you. But it's just kind of frustrating because I'm like, I get so much stuff in my feed, and it's like I don't cover girls. I don't. And
Right.
you know, we have. It's just me and Cooper that run the site, and so we only cover public schools, and we still get tagged for private schools too. And you know, it is what it is. But you know, I just telling you some of my frustrations.
Well, yeah, I try to when we tweet something for girls. I actually have kind of have these some saved, and I take in and out your Twitter handle and Nick's and. Swapping back and forth. So I try not to double up there. But
I
sure.
understand. People do it. I know a lot of people have like all these people they want to tag, and so sometimes I just get thrown in there, and I understand that. It's just, I tried. I think I posted something on Twitter. I had it up. I had it pinned up, and I was like, please tag Nick for your girls stuff. So I try to promote him as much. Say, okay. Tag Nick, not me.
Nick's your man. And that's awesome that he's able to do the girls because, dividing it up like that, it helps because, I can only imagine like right now when you got boys playoffs all over the place, you got the girls playoffs are in high gear right now. So many games out there. It's just, you almost have to have either an army of people or two separate sites covered, and it's great that we in Texas have that. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll have to say I have to take partial credit for it because back when Nick first started, he was kind of doing his thing, and I said, man, there's nobody that covers girls basketball. I said, you ought to do that, and so I'm going to take partial credit for and I'm glad he's doing it because he does a great job. I mean, I go over to his site every once in a while. I'm like, man, he's got his website's really well done, and he writes articles and everything. So yeah, he does a great job.
Yeah, it's a good site. And so, okay, so let's talk some games that you've either kind of followed or that's kind of some games that you saw over the last week that stuck out to you.
Talking about me?
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
Oh, okay. I went to a game last night locally. I went to the Orangefield Hampshire Finette game. I graduated from Orangefield, so I went to watch them play. It was just right down the road from me. They lost to Hampshire Finette 67-60, and they play number 3 Washington next round. So actually, Washington coach was up. The Washington crew was up in the stands. I sat right by him and met the coach and everything. Talked to him a little bit. Introduced myself. So it was pretty interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, but what would y'all like to talk about as far as the games? What interests?
Well, we've seen some good ones over the last week, Corey. What I mean, you want to just kind of go through the ones we've covered?
Yeah, right off the top, we did cover, of course, the girls' games. Of the guys, we covered the Chapel Hill Liberty ILO game. Chapel Hill edged that one out. Then we covered the Jacksonville game, Jacksonville versus Hallsville last night, and Jacksonville was pretty good. I was impressed. My first time watching them play this year, but they were very good. Very impressed with Jacksonville. So, but those are just the only playoff games we covered thus far.
What do y'all think about them going down to 4A next year? You think they're definitely a top 25 team preseason next year?
I would, yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what I was telling the guys last night on the broadcast. The guard play that they have is very good. They got graduating 3 seniors off of the team, and the other little guard they had last night, I can't remember his name, is a sophomore. He had 17 points. Yeah, Claiborne. He had 17 points and about 8 steals. So he took over the game in the second half. And I mean, if that's any kind of indicator of how their season's going to go next year, they're going to be just fine. But like you said, top 25, I may even say top 20. I mean, not top 20, top 10.
And Sulphur Springs, that's another team moving down, right? Do they have a lot back?
Yeah, Sulphur Springs pretty stout too. They took out a decent Huntsville team.
Yeah. I actually I don't get to watch nearly as many. Like probably 5-10 years ago, I watched a bunch of games, but I'm married now, so I don't get to watch quite as much as I used to. But
right.
I did get to see Jacksonville play once this year. I watched them play against Hitchcock, and that was an interesting game. Hitchcock, actually, they drove all the way from Hitchcock to Nacogdoches to the Central Heights tournament, got off the bus, and then played Jacksonville. And they got beat by 20. But, man, I tell you what, you couldn't tell that both teams you watched the game. I mean, Jacksonville was really athletic, but Hitchcock looked like a 5A team too. They're going to be
the funny thing about Hitchcock. One thing about Hitchcock, I actually went to school with their head basketball coach at Sam Houston State, Chris Jordan. I know him.
Oh, yeah,
well.
I met him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Shout out, Chris. Absolutely.
Yeah, and his one of his assistants that drove the bus up there. Me and him graduated from the same school. I'm older than him, but we played on the same flag football team. So I sat there and talked to him for a while. He graduated from Orangefield, so
nice.
Yeah, always a connection. But I think Hitchcock. Let's see, Hitchcock. They play Central Heights in the next round.
Yes,
and that'll be
Central Heights is always good.
Yeah, they are, and they've had some. I'm good friends with Heron, and he does a great job. And they've had a couple teams I thought really had a shot to win the region, and just just didn't have the ball bounce their way in the playoffs. And it's a shame they have to play Hitchcock in the second
Right.
round, but
Right.
that's just a tough draw.
It really
So
is,
they have their hands full.
especially at that 3A level. There's a lot of good basketball teams at that 3A level there, especially in Northeast Texas, East Texas, where there's not any football. You got Central Heights. Woden used to be really good.
Mount Pleasant, Chapel Hill is always
Mount
good.
Pleasant, Chapel Hill is always good. I mean, those teams are really, really good. They don't have any football teams, so we see a lot of good basketball come out of there. They make a deep run. So, and then of course Hitchcock, and then you got East Chambers is really good
Coons
traditionally.
Oh,
used to
yeah.
be Coons used to be real good. I don't know if they still are.
Yes, those used to be really good.
They're getting better. They've been down the last couple of years, and they had a pretty decent. They're still in the playoffs. They beat out a pretty good Hemphill team. But I'll say this: I kind of always wonder if, because people know I'm from Southeast Texas, East Texas, and 2A Region 3, 3A Region 3. Always, people know my input in the rankings. So I always wonder, because 2A Region 3 and 3A Region 3 always have 7, 8, 9 ranked teams. Which, if you think about, there's the top 25 that average about 6 a region. So I always wonder if people think I'm partial to that because it's right in my backyard. But I actually had a coach from West Texas. He was friends with a coach at Cold Spring, and he came down there to watch Cold Spring in New Waverly last year. And he was like, man, I'll tell you this. West Texas is it's just a different brand. A basketball, it's a whole nother level out here in East Texas compared to Region 3, compared to what's out in West Texas.
Yeah,
and I mean,
Tatum's one that's looking good
the way
too.
it is.
Yeah,
So Tatum's looking pretty good right now too.
Yeah, and I remember a couple of years ago, Tatum made the state. That was been more not the last time, but time before that they played. Tatum played Bushland in the state tournament. I don't know if y'all remember that in the semifinals. It was probably 5 or more years ago. Anyways, played him in the semifinals. And I remember the Bushland coach, I asked him in the press conference, I said, have y'all played anybody with because I remember they played Midland, who's 5A, 6A. And I said, have y'all played anybody with the type of athleticism Tatum? He was like, no, we've never seen anything like that. So
and it's
just a different level, I think.
It really is, and you get in the smaller school, and that's the funny thing about East Texas. I guess, and you talk about it, especially in this region, you have 2A and 5A, either 2A and 5A school. There's not a big disparity in talent. It's just the numbers. But when you put them on the court, and especially Tatum and Grapeland, Crockett, those teams are Grapeland's always. Grapeland probably beat anybody. They always have the speed. Tatum is the same way. Timpson is really good. Tenaha is really good. Laneville is good. A lot of these teams are really good, and they can play pretty much anybody. But why they don't. But it's you can put them up against anybody almost, and they will compete. And that's the best thing about East Texas. We won't talk about football because everyone knows how that goes. But it's just that type of way in East Texas. So if we get a good basketball game here, man, it's gonna be pretty good. But I was telling Brett not too long ago, I said it just doesn't seem like basketball is as big as it used to be in East Texas. I feel like we had better teams a few years back, maybe. And maybe I'm just being biased of my age, I don't know. But it just felt like we had better programs. I don't want to say the better teams, but more established programs at that time. And I guess they're just trying to rebuild and trying to build them back up at the moment. So,
I'll say this: talking about going further on that comment about the level of talent. I've always I help out with the TABC rankings, and I've done rankings on Hoop Insider. And one of the things I always harp on is that people play tough schedules. And I always tell people, like, if you're out in like way out in West Texas or South Texas or somewhere where the level of competition may not be, I say you need to travel to a tournament. San Antonio, Houston, East Texas. You know, if you're a small school, see if you can get over to Tenaha or Martins Mill or one of those tournaments and test yourself. Because if you don't, if you just stay in your little area, sometimes you're gonna, when you come out and you play some of these teams, you're just gonna be surprised. And that's why I always harp on schedule. I'm actually kind of get annoyed when I see people play soft schedules, because I'm like, you know, this. I see teams that play, you know, just a bunch of 60-point wins, and I'm just like, that's not doing you any good. But yeah, that's and going. I was gonna say, you were saying something about how the coverage. I know here locally where I'm at, I know football is a lot bigger deal. Like, they'll send a reporter to cover, like, get highlights of like every game. Okay. This is down here in South. I'm about to blast Southeast Texas news. So I hope you're not watching. But this is what frustrates me. I can get highlights on Friday nights of, like, you know, West Hardin and you know, community Christian, like little bitty schools, and I can't even get a highlight of the Beaumont United basketball game, like in the playoffs, you know, or Silsbee. We've got here in Southeast Texas, we've got the number 2 team in 4A, the number 1 in 5A, the number 11 in 4A, and we're lucky to get a highlight or two. So yeah, I don't think basketball gets near the love it should. They should have people out at all these games. Now, I don't know, it could be different. Like, I know Lufkin, and you got to speak to that, like Lufkin, Longview. I know the Lufkin guy, he's always tweeting us, and he goes to games. So
look who we.
That's one thing that's frustrating to me, that I think basketball don't get the kind of coverage that football does, and that's
not at all.
Look what we got, Nick. Nick's got one for you. He says, Brad speaking facts. So our man Nick Alvaredo's here, tuning in and checking us out this evening. Thanks for coming on, Nick, and chatting with us. Hey, if you got any questions for Brad, Nick, feel free to. I like two good minds. You got 2 different worlds, but doing the same thing. So.
Well, Nick had any. I guess if Nick had any real questions, he could just send me a message. But I mean, if he wants to, you know, ask something that I'd talk about on here, you know.
Yeah, it's
I don't know if he heard me talk earlier about when he started out, but that's okay.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on and chatting with us, Nick. We appreciate it.
I do have a question as well. Texas is loaded with basketball players, elite talent. I mean, it's just getting better and better and better. Best kid you've seen thus far? I've heard about this far in the season.
Oh, me?
Yes.
This year? Like I said, let's see. I guess it'd have to be Beaumont. I went and saw Beaumont United and Silsbee. That was probably, God, it was funny. I told some people, I said, you know, Silsbee's impressive. They're, you know, they've always got some great athletes and players, but it was like, I watched Beaumont United against Silsbee. It felt like, you know, like grown men at the YMCA playing against a high school team. Like, it was crazy. But that was, I guess, you know, I'll be interested to see who can beat Beaumont United. They play really good, and they're all big. So probably, I mean, and like I said, I don't get out as much as I used to, so I'd have to say Beaumont United just because they're right in my backyard with Terrence Arnstow. You remember he hit those 2 shots last year. I was so glad I got that on video.
So
I got a story about that. Okay.
Do you have?
So when me and Cooper would go to state, he would handle the Twitter. So we had to like work as a team, cause like he would like do I would video the end of the game because we can't go live at the state tournament.
Right.
So he would run the Twitter account and type up the stuff, and then I would go around and video in case we had like an end of game something. And then I'm the one that videos if you see our live after game stuff. And so I don't know if you remember, was it Plano West or Plano East? There was one of those two teams that was like 2 or 3 years ago. They won the state tournament. Their whole starting lineup was like over 6'6". They were huge. Anyways, my phone was running out of space, and I was trying to delete stuff, and I like ran out of time and ran out of space and didn't get the video. This kid hit a game-winning shot to win the game.
Oh.
And then I didn't get it on video, and I was so mad because it was like one of the like most memorable moments. And we ended up retweeting like several other people, but I didn't get the shot. So I was like, I'm making sure I get when Beaumont United hit those shots. Like I'll make sure I get those. So, but yeah, when you see those videos, I don't know if y'all follow our Twitter live at the state tournament. I'm the one that videos the people. We do the medal ceremonies, and I go out and record video people while they're doing that.
Nice.
So let's talk a little. First, we'll start with 4A Region 2, since we kind of have a little personal interest in that one. For actually two reasons. And I don't know if I talked to you about this, Brad, but we're going to get we're getting to cover the Commerce Regional Tournament next weekend. We'll be calling both games on Friday and the Saturday game, no matter who it is there. I'm really excited about it because there's some good teams in this bracket.
Family Carter.
Whew, I mean that would be the matchup I'd love to see next Saturday. They have to get there, obviously, but those two teams.
I've been there once. Isn't that place called the Airplane Hangar?
The Airplane Hangar, yes. See, Corey hasn't been there.
I've never been.
I'm way down here in Beaumont, Texas. I've been to the Airplane Hangar.
Oh, Corey.
I've been all over. I haven't been there. I can say that I've never been there.
It's very spacious.
Yeah, it's a very neat atmosphere. So I've been there.
I'm anxious to go. I've
been there as a fan, but it's going to be cool to call a couple of games in there. So I'm excited about that. So we have a special interest in this bracket. So I know you kind of broke it down the other night. Now there's been another game played. Brad, give us kind of what you're seeing, and we'll chime in with you.
Let's see if I picked like almost every single game. So it looks like
how are you? Let's see how you're doing so far.
Well, I picked okay. So in the second quarter of the East Texas, I didn't really pick the other games, but I said Paris and Bull are going to meet, and then I also picked. I know you're not going to like this. I know. And Kaufman to meet.
No.
I think if you remember, I pointed out.
It was open. You said the bracket was open.
I said this was the one I'm going to get wrong because I really do think like all four of these teams left are all really close. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if any. And I told you on the phone. I mean, like people think I'm just like being sounding political, like on the fence, like. When I make these, because a lot of times I'll go in here and I'll be like, it's a 50-50 coin flip game. Like people think I'm just blowing smoke. Like, I mean, a lot of these games are close. It really is. It is tough to pick these games. Like there's, if you look at a lot of the scores, they are close. And so I wouldn't be surprised. Canton, Chapel Hill, Kaufman, Lindale. I wouldn't be surprised if any of those teams won any of those outcomes.
It'd be a Lindale Chapel Hill matchup. I don't,
that last one we had, Corey, was.
We'd have to probably play it like UT Tyler or something like that. I don't know.
We need a lot of security.
Yeah, security, neutral site. TJC is not going to do. We need a bigger space.
Yeah, we had some issues with the stands the last time we hosted Lindale, and we had Lindale fans didn't like the way the game was being called, and somebody said something to the ref. The next thing you know, Lindale fans were just walking out, leaving the game halfway through the fourth quarter. Then we had a little skirmish with a couple players at the end. It got ugly. It's one of those heated rivalries.
Yeah, the state of Texas loves Lindale and Chapel Hill in the same district for some reason. I don't know why. It's just it's becoming they're our new rival now.
To only be moved to a different basketball district next year, another region actually. And we're splitting up.
So I know y'all noticed. I pointed this out on the. I want to know if you guys noticed it. Did y'all watch my realignment show by chance? I don't know if you did.
I caught some of it, but I didn't catch all of it.
The end of it.
So I did the 4A. When I talked about the 4A, I don't know if any of y'all caught this, but they moved. So 13 through 16 is the East Texas portion, and they moved Dallas into 13. So now, in the past, we've had 2 East Texas teams were guaranteed, but now, now with with Dallas in there, now you could have 0 East Texas teams because they're gonna have to beat out the first and second place teams in Dallas now on each side of the bracket to get to the regional tournament.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed because that puts us down going south and not going to Commerce. That's my main disappointment. I just like that. That's a cool place to try to shoot for every year. And not that the other places aren't nice, but what's that?
Who else the South tournament? Is it Sam Houston?
I don't know. Well, I don't know if they've actually decided it. They don't pick those sites because like right now the regional sites are for last year and this year. If it was to stay the same way it was, it's actually in Lufkin, which is closer, but it's not as big of a deal. Like, okay, I'm going to play Lufkin ISD.
Well, I mean, they're trying to, they got a new arena / unless it's in Angelina, but so
no, it just says it's Lufkin ISD currently.
Okay.
Where is this?
That's the region 3 for 4A right now as this year.
Oh, they was Lufkin. Okay.
Yeah.
So Lufkin's actually a little bit closer than Commerce for us.
Yeah.
Because Commerce is about 2 hours and Lufkin's like, a little over an hour?
Yeah, about an hour, 15 minutes, hour, 20 minutes.
So
I always wonder how they picked those because I know like 2A Region 3 was like over at Leon for a while, and then like the 3A was over at Waco, and it's like you're picking these sites like right on the edge of the region. I don't know if it's just an availability issue or what, or they just weren't thinking.
Well, Wagstaff used to host the used to be 2A, but I think 3A Region 3 tournament, or I think it was Region 3. Because it was like Kuntz and all these teams used to come. That would be one that I'd like to go watch.
Yeah.
Because ARP was pretty good back in the day. So ARP and Kuntz and East Chambers, Troop, those teams and that. But they're not on the list anymore. I was kind of looking through the hosts of the tournaments and like
Athens. I think Athens took that one. I know they do the girls, but I think they do the guys too.
Athens is Region 3 and 2A. Of the little, so they have that one, which they've got a nice facility. Wish we could have got that one. We were just talking about the Corey and I before the show. How I don't know how we got rains between Canton and Chapel Hill, but it's like we drive almost through Canton to get there. I don't know how that
is. It rains north of Canton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes north.
And Chapel Hill's to the east of Canton, right?
Yeah, east and So it's just kind of weird. It didn't like kind of go in between. If you were gonna go that way, I thought, well, maybe we play in Tyler. I mean, even that's more of a centralized place. Because Canton, we'd still have to drive an hour there. We thought maybe Athens. We thought Athens or Lindale kind of, but I don't know.
Trinity Valley would have been fine, or maybe even Brownsboro. I don't know if they're already taken or not. TBCC would have been okay.
Yeah,
but
that's funny. You said I was gonna say one of the things from doing this site is it's like I've become an expert on geography. Like I joke around like if we're looking at a map, I'm like, just give me any town that has a school and I can probably find it in a couple seconds just because I just know where the districts are and what newspaper covers them. So I can normally find anywhere on a map. So
That's
that's my
typically how it
geography.
goes.
Yeah. And I used to. I'm pretty good at mascots too. So not the
So-
big. I don't. Since I cover the smaller schools, I'm better with the smaller schools, but I'm decent with the mascots.
So how do you see the other parts of this bracket shaping up, Brad? Since we're focused on you got
the Dallas. Are you talking about the Dallas?
Yeah, the Dallas half. I know, like right now, you've got. I'm sure that Paris is probably the favorite to come out of the other East Texas side.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Bullard. They lost their second leading scorer to an injured foot out for the season several weeks ago. I believe his name is Jeffrey Brooks. He killed us. I think he had 20 and 20 in our place.
Wow.
We didn't play him the second time because he was hurt. But that's going to hurt their chances. They still have Coach Knuckles' son, which he's an incredible player. But I haven't got to see Paris. I've seen some highlights of some dunks that Paris has thrown down. They got some guys that can jump and some size. So
Paris, I say Paris. Paris always has teams, and that really good teams, and it always seems like that. The biggest thing is they get to the regional tournament, and it's like, they have to beat two Dallas schools, and I think they've done it once or twice where they beat a Dallas school in the semifinals and lost in the finals, and they've had some really good teams where if they could have got to state, they could have really done something. I don't know if this is one of those type teams this year. Have you guys seen them this year?
I've seen about an hour film worth of it. They're big, they're athletic. They've got one guy. He is, man. I can't even say it. Like he's really good.
What's his name? Is it Jalen Lee or is that?
I think he's Jalen Lee or Jay Lee or something like. I think he's like 6'7". Yeah, he's 6'5", 6'7".
That's the one that between the legs.
Yeah, he had the in-game East Bay. It's one highlight. They've got like 20 dunks in like one game or 10 dunks in like one game. It's ridiculous. And I don't want to just say off of the highlights, but they played some pretty good teams. But they're well balanced. They can still play up tempo, half court, doesn't matter. They're a really good basketball team. And from what it looks like, they're big too. So it's not like they don't have any size or anything. Whatever Jack, I can kind of compare them to Jacksonville. Whatever Jacksonville lacks in size, they have it, but they kind of play similar.
Well, it looks like if they make it, if they get to the regional tournament, they're probably going to play Carter. I know. I know Melissa's playing Carter, and Melissa has been pretty tough. But if Carter will probably get back past them, and then I probably like Roosevelt. It looks like a Carter Roosevelt, and I'd have to go back and look and see what their scores were. I think Carter, they were close one game, and then Carter blew them out the other game.
Let me see. I could probably pull it up here.
Yeah.
Let's
their
see.
max press.
Yeah, let's see. Carter Roosevelt. Carter won by 12.
Okay.
It was in Roosevelt.
I think the other one was like 27 for some reason.
It was 71-44. So yeah, good memory there. So,
yeah. Okay. So I probably Carter looks like they're the best bet there, and then on the other side, you got. I'll be interested to see Van Alstyne, Wilmer Hutchins, because Paris beat Wilmer Hutchins, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I know Van Alstyne has been pretty impressive all year. I think they beat Argyle twice.
Ooh, that's a good win.
So I'll be curious. And, they were just a team that just kept winning, and they've just moved up. I think they're all the way at number 5. And so I kind of feel bad for them, though, because they're going to have to beat Wilmer Hutchins and Faith Family just to get to the regional tournament.
That's a tough back-to-back game there.
Yeah. I picked them to beat Wilmer Hutchins, but it's hard to pick them to beat Faith family. So,
Yeah.
but
Faith family just rolling them in.
yeah, but I think they could give Faith family a close game. I might be wrong on that, but we'll see. But
It's
yeah,
very
that's
possible.
kind of. I mean, Faith. It's hard not. You got to pick Faith family and Carter and those two Dallas
Right.
parts as the favorites.
Yeah, they're just seems like they're on a collision course unless someone slips a good game and they just have a lackluster one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've got my eyeball and I don't know who's going to, but I've got my eyeball on a Kaufman rematch. I'd like to get my hands on Kaufman again. That game last year. Corey, you didn't go to that one, did you? I don't think you called that game.
I watched that one. I watched that one.
It was probably best that you watched that one. They're I can't remember the guy's name, and I'll recognize him when I look him up. Dalen Dickerson. Dalen Dickerson.
42 points and 16 rebounds.
I mean, he just destroyed us. 6'6", and he can do everything.
Yep.
Yeah, he destroyed us. I'd like to get my hands on them again. I know it's either Lindell or Kaufman. Either one of those is fine, but I kind of want a piece of Kaufman. I'm kind of done with Lindell. We beat them the last time. I'd like to see us because I feel like they've got their best player back. We've got most of our team back. I feel like we're a little deeper than we were last year. We've got a pretty good bench. As long as everyone's healthy. So I'd like to see them again. I think depending on what Chapel Hill team shows up, we've got a chance to win the next two for sure. And then, after that, you're playing with house money because, we're most likely going to line up with Faith family there in the regional tournament. That it's going to be a tough
if we
one.
played like we did in the first quarter, late at the end of the first quarter, going toward the second quarter, man, we're going to be tough to beat. We'll at least compete. So,
Yeah.
Well.
So, Brad, let's talk about any other East Texas teams that you see, any classification that you think has a chance to make a run either to the regional tournament or even possibly a trip to Austin or San Antonio. I'm sorry. They've moved.
Oh, yeah.
I forget.
I
Well,
was hoping he was back to Austin. Don't scare me.
okay. I'll kind of just go through each 3A Region 2. I think anything beside the Tatum Madison regional final would surprise me. And I don't know if y'all watched my any of my previews. I picked Madison to beat Tatum, and I think Madison's got a better. I don't think Tatum has. I don't think Tatum. I mean, Tatum's blowing everybody out, so it's really hard to tell how good they are.
Yeah.
But I don't think their roster is quite what it was last year. But Madison, on the other hand, feels like just by looking at all their scores. I mean, normally when Dallas Madison goes to state, they're like 15-15, but they actually have a winning record this year, and their schedule's no different. So I feel like Madison's a better team this year, and Tatum's, I think, probably the same or, so I like that's why I picked Madison. And then, but I mean, Tatum, I think that game, hey, you never know. Tatum, I definitely think Tatum has a chance again this year. So Tatum, I think, has got to be one of the teams you're looking at. And then for 3A Region 3, I guess it just depends on what you guys consider East Texas. Because, I mean, there's the whole, like, who in Region 3 would you not consider East Texas? I mean, like Academy and Franklin, I guess they wouldn't be. Hitchcock, I know Hitchcock's south of Houston, so they're probably for sure not East Texas.
Let's see. Just by looking at it here, Grossbeck's probably. I mean, they're
Grossbeck.
Right there. Not too much.
Crockett.
Yeah,
Crockett would be East Texas.
Yeah.
Diboll
would be East
Diboll.
Texas.
Sure. Yeah. I think Diboll. So Diboll, I believe, is without their point guard, and so when I saw Diboll play at I saw Diboll at the Central Heights tournament. I was impressed with them, but also, their starting five is very solid. But to me, it was clear the point guard and the post guy were their two best players. So, definitely playing without their point guard once they get to the really good teams is going to hurt them. Because I definitely think Diboll would have been one of the, I think they have a chance, but it really hurts them without them. But I mentioned in there that Lorena Crockett game, you're going to see an area. I think the winner of that could go all the way to the regional finals. And I went back. That was the hardest game for me to pick. I asked a few people about it. That was the hardest game to pick. But I feel like whoever wins that's going to go to the regional final. Just because, I think that the Diboll, like I said, isn't going to be the same team. But I like Hitchcock to play either Lorena or Crockett. So I guess you could say Crockett, if you're talking about an East Texas team, I think Crockett probably the best chance because if they get past – I met the Crockett coach. They got beat out last year by Lorena, and I believe they blew a big lead in the second half. So Crockett would be an East Texas team to watch. Now looking towards 2A Region 3, I really Douglas or Timpson, I think, or La Pointe. You're going to have an East Texas team there. Somebody from East Texas is going to make it. Well,
right.
District 17 and 18 are usually not that strong, and they're not in East Texas. So I like Douglas, Timpson, or La Pointe, I think.
Well, you've got pretty much a guarantee. You got Big Sandy, Union Grove, Timpson, Garrison in that one pod. You got Martin's Mill, Frankston's always pretty good.
You know,
Hall, yeah. Those are. You got some.
Yeah, all those. Everybody in that whole region is Region 3, except for 17 and 18, and those districts aren't very strong. So you're going to have an East Texas team from 2A Region 3. And now I mentioned this. So I have a few different contacts in 2A Region 3. This is one of the regions I'm pretty well connected. One of my contacts picked an upset special of Hall over Douglas. So he said mark it down. But I picked Douglas and Timpson to meet in the regional final. But I'll tell you, have any of you guys seen any of those three teams? Timpson, Douglas, La Pointe? Have y'all seen them?
I've seen bits and pieces of Timpson. They're really good. Well coached, really good, very athletic.
So Timpson is the only I've seen Big Sandy, but I saw them a couple times, but I don't think they were at full strength. And I've watched Timpson beat. So Dimebox is playing. They're ranked in the top 5 in 1A, and Timpson I watched that game at Hall. They played Dimebox, and they they wore Dimebox down the whole game. They are so physical and athletic. And
their football team was really good, so I imagine they.
Yeah,
kids are playing basketball,
and they got some. I recognized a couple of the kids that signed. I saw online where they signed some kids. One of them went to Lamar, and a couple other went to some other schools. I recognized some of them on the basketball team. So they got a couple boys that are just thick. Like you ain't going through them on the. So they're going to be a handful for somebody. Whoever beats them is going to have to really handle 4 quarters of pressure. And they're I don't know if y'all remember that Cayuga team from years ago, that team that went to state. They kind of remind I don't want to make a direct comparison, but they just remind me about how they were so athletic and strong. They just wore people down for 4 quarters, and they do have other guys they bring in off the bench, so they kind of remind me just from that perspective how they just wear you down. Now I've heard La Pointe's starting 5 is as good as anybody's, so they definitely are somebody to watch out for. And Douglas has been good all year, so I'll be curious to see how they do when they go up against a Timpson, if they reach them. But I like them. So that's 2A. What 1A Region 3? There's really not many teams from East Texas except
Yeah, Laneville.
Avenger. Oh yeah, there's Laneville. Well, there's
Yeah.
it's kind of Region
Natchez.
3 and 4 is kind of split up. You got Avenger in Region 3. If I don't know if you consider Dodge City, East Texas. Those two teams could play each other in the quarters to go to a regional tournament. And yeah, 1A Region 4. You got Sherino and Wells. They could face each other. And
How is Laneville in Region 4? That's just weird to me.
So it's been like that. That's been like that for, I don't know, the last couple realignments.
That's just strange.
Somewhere around like Lufkin and Nacogdoches is the cutoff line for Region 4. And then Region 4 is huge. It starts like Lufkin and Nacogdoches, and then it goes all the way down to Brownsville. It's kind of weird because if you look like Calvert's playing San Perlita, well, Calvert's near, that's a big matchup, but Calvert is near College Station, and San Perlita is like between Corpus Christi and Brownsville.
Oh,
they're playing an area. That's just a big. I guess you just don't have enough 1A teams in South Texas, so they had to throw in some of East Texas in there. That's just how it's been. And then 1A Region 3 is kind of more northeast and North Texas. There's my geography coming out right now.
But,
that's good. No, that's impressive.
But no, I mean 1A. So I like Sherino. Sherino. I like them. Sherino's played Wells before, so if we have a Sherino Wells matchup, Sherino's beaten them once already. I've seen Sherino once. I don't know if y'all have seen them, but did y'all see Garrison last year?
I saw bits and pieces of Garrison.
Okay. Well, the coach's son was on the coach. Darren Cook was on Garrison last year, and his son played at Garrison. Then he went over to Sherino, but his son looks like a fullback or a linebacker. He's big. He's a load. I'm sure whoever they play, he's a load in the paint. So he's about 6'3", 6'4", maybe. But yeah, I like Sherino to get to the regional tournament, and then they're going to run into McMullen County or Dime Box. But yeah, and then Laneville. I like Trinidad to come out of that one with the one Laneville's in. So Laneville is Laneville. I think will be better next year, but I think Trinidad's got a kid that put up 50 this year. So put up 50 in a game. So. But I'll tell you, I know this isn't East Texas, but I really pumped it up. The two games to watch, you got two top 5, 6 matchups. You got number 4 McMullen County against number 5 Dime Box, and then you got number 2 against number 6 Calvert versus San Perlita. In 1A, that's a not East Texas, but I think you can watch. I don't know. They might have an online stream, but Calvert's. I don't know if y'all went to. Did y'all go to the Central Heights tournament?
I haven't. I didn't go.
Well,
okay, because Calvert's got a kid that MJ Thomas. He's being recruited by like D1 colleges, and he's
really?
6'7", 6'8". So, yeah, we're always I'm friends with the coach, and we're always tweeting stuff about him. So, but yeah, that will be interesting. But yeah, as far as East Texas, nobody in 1A. I mean, I think Sherino makes the regional tournament. Avenger or Dodge City has a good chance to make the regional tournament, but that's pretty much.
So
pretty much
I know you don't really cover the bigger, but in 5A, do you see any of the? I mean, we're represented with several teams. Do you see any of them making a run?
I do. I'll tell you. So I know I do 4A to 1A, but like. I do. So I've really, like the last 2 or 3 years, really been keeping up with 5A, 6A. In fact, I'll break it on here. I'm going to do a 5A, 6A I'll probably do a 5A, 6A breakdown of the region when they do the regional tournament. I'll probably recap the games and then talk about. I'll do some picks. Dip my toe in the water of 5A, 6A since I haven't in the past. But so looking at this, so I'm looking at the bracket. So, I mean, I really like, Lufkin and Sulphur Springs. I think both of them have pretty, they're going to have to play well to beat those two teams, but I think they can both win. And then, so you look like if they play each other, you're going to get an East Texas team in the regional tournament, but then they're probably going to run into Kimball in the regional tournament. So that's going to be really tough. And then Jacksonville, they got Highland Park. Highland Park's pretty good. And if they beat them, they're probably going to have to. Well, and then you got Mount Pleasant. That's a tough game. Mount Pleasant can win that game, but that'll be a tough one. Yeah. I think they're definitely the underdog, and both those teams are the underdog. But I wouldn't be shocked if either one of them won. But they have to play really well to win those games. I'm just looking through.
Yeah, I'm not a Highland Park fan, so I hope they get destroyed.
I do want to give a big shout out to Red Oak. I know the sister coach there is my old college roommate at Sam Houston. Shout out Shamir. So good luck.
Yeah. Basically the story, Brad, that we got beat my senior year by Highland Park. They were the same classification as Chapel Hill at that time. We were both in 4A, and they beat us out.
Were fans.
No, it was we should have beat them. Of course, if we'd have won that game, we'd have been matched up against Chris Bosch and his team. So it would have been
the 5A Region 2. The bad thing about both of those is if Mount Pleasant or Jacksonville make it out, they're probably going to be playing Lancaster or Frisco Memorial in the regional tournaments.
It seems like we have that theme going in a lot of these classifications where we
got to beat somebody in Dallas
you get to that regional tournament. It's like I'm here, and then you look across and it's a Dallas team with some big boys and some size.
That's the only issue with the basketball side in East Texas. Football, you come out of East Texas in football, man, if you make it out of East Texas in football, you almost guaranteed us playing the state championship game. In basketball, you're just thankful to make it to the regional tournament. In 4, 5, and 6A, you're just thankful to make it. It's not even a guarantee. 2A and under, man, you'll probably punch your ticket easy. But at 4, 5, and 6A, it is tough. It is tough.
There's and this isn't. There's. I think it's I can tell you if you ask a lot of coaches, there's a lot of coaches who don't think it's very fair that a city with millions of people can have a 4A or a 3A school in there. I know there's a lot of coaches that don't think that's very fair and that's a conversation. I don't bring that up on mine, but I think that's something that a lot of coaches aren't happy with that aren't in the Metroplex or the big.
Well, because you can almost like just jump across boundaries, and so you see there's maybe like 2 or 3 good players on one team. Well, now I'm just going to jump over here, and now we got a super team, almost like just being a few streets over. I mean, with all those
so
together.
The problem here's the problem with, and I would love to sit down with the director of UIL. I'd love to have a conversation because I have no affiliation with these schools, but I keep up with the problem is with all that is that I guess most of these schools in these big cities are open enrollment, so they can go wherever. And the way UIL has it structured is instead of they leave it up to the districts to police themselves, the district committees have to vote on these kids. Well, from what I understand, all these schools, it's basically like, you don't turn anybody in. Like, it's just like, you understand? Like, it's just like
It's just they have an understanding.
it's just something you don't do. You don't turn in other schools in there. So, I mean, it's very easy for to move a couple kids over somewhere and they become, that's why you see these schools in Dallas. Sometimes they come out of nowhere. What's real easy if you have a couple kids move over in your school district to just be, that's all you need is just a couple move in there.
Especially if you're at the 4A level and 3A.
Yeah. And that's what I hear from the coaches is that that's really not fair to, rural, Bullard, Texas, or, just throwing one out of a hat, that's, they can't compete with someone like that. That's just, can just have anybody come in every year. So,
Right.
yeah, I know there's a lot of people that want to change that. I mean, I think they need to, I think it really, the biggest problem is, and it's kind of the transfer rules. Like, what do you do with the transfer rules? Because you don't want to. I know a lot of times that they have the thing where, like, kids, if they transfer for athletic purposes, they, you have to prove that and all that. But I've heard people say, well, just make it a hard rule. Like, you cannot, if you transfer, you have to sit out of here. You have to play JV. I don't know if I agree with that, but I do think the UIL needs to take a hard look at this because it does. It just feels like to me, like there's just every year it's just like, hey, who moved to this school this year? And it's not like their parents, got it's not like their parents transferred jobs.
Right.
It's probably somebody recruited somebody. So
I don't know. I think that happens a lot.
I don't know what the exact, I mean, I haven't really thought about this before I came on here, but I do think they need to come up with a better system than what they have now, because I think a lot of coaches out there are not happy with it.
Well, I've heard that if you're a good athlete, Carthage will hire any parents, for a job. I think Gilmer may be the same way.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. I mean, you see a lot of this is, and I'll say this with the smaller basketball schools, is they'll hire an assistant coach with a good son. I've seen this at some, I can say like almost every year you can look at a team that won and they have like an assistant coach or someone that, they moved there and moved into the district and boom, they're really good. So, I mean, and that's just going to happen. I mean, like you can't do nothing about that. I mean, you can't penalize a coach for bringing his kids. So that, I don't really think that's as big an issue as just the transfers in general.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just going to happen. That just comes. There's nothing. I mean, you're not going to penalize a kid for his dad getting a coaching job, but
Right.
I do think they need to come up with a better system. Maybe like do away with. I don't know what, and I don't really know the ins and outs of open enrollment. But maybe do away with open enrollment or something.
Well, you've got like Faith Family. They're basically recruiting. They're recruiting kids. I mean, hey, come here.
I remember,
and so if they're going to have that, they should be forced to play in 6A. Like I don't think like 6A can be open. If they want to be open enrollment, they go play 6A.
I remember there was an interview with one of the kids. They were showing us a feature on one of the kids. And one of the parents was like, yeah, this is why we came to Faith Family to win a state championship. And people were like tagging UIL. Hey, UIL, look at this. It's kind of funny, but but the thing is, I mean, and what I hear from some people is, you have to make sometimes they're not going to do anything unless people make a formal complaint. But,
Right.
But at the same time, I just think they need to they just need to overhaul the whole thing and come up with something else. It's just, to me, it's a broken system and people are always going to be unhappy with it. And hey, if they want to call me, I can give them some good input though. I've got
It's an unfair competitive advantage. Everyone knows it. And that's how teams remain elite. And, that's the name of the game now. It's, you don't want to be a whistleblower. And for one school district, and you do the exact same thing. And then you're frowned upon, and no one wants to come there, no one wants to play nice. It's that to me that happened, late '90s, early 2000s, where that whistleblowers. You heard that more often then. Now it's kind of like, let's just not say anything. It's too common now. Everybody, kids are going, here and there and everywhere, and so they just want to play. I told a buddy of mine, I said I could probably guarantee you, maybe 10 years from now, I don't think kids will be playing for school districts anymore as far as basketball. It'll get too out of control. It'll just be club ball. It'll just be AAU. They'll just go to school and they'll just play AAU basketball.
I don't know if I'd say that for like the rural schools. Maybe more in the.
Yeah,
You might
the
say
city,
that,
the city for sure.
huh?
Like for the cities, like for the larger cities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
what I would think.
I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, and I'll tell you, like, I know it's becoming more prevalent, no doubt. I know that, like, I don't know if y'all have heard of the Texas Basketball Championships. It's a thing they do over the summer to get kids to play their summer league together as a school. I think that's a good thing they're doing. I try to promote that as much as possible because I think it's a good thing where you got kids playing together. It helps them to where they're not they play more as a team and more acclimated with each other, where they're not off playing with somebody that from some school they'll never play with. So, you might be right. I mean, I hope you're not. I wouldn't want to see that
I
happen.
hope I'm not right either. I hope I'm not right because if you think about it, to be honest, if you think about it, the kids, they can go play anywhere. Just in case, let's just say they change the rule and now you can't transfer. And now the kids still want to play basketball. Why don't I just play? Let's just play in the AAU circuit. You can play anytime you want to. You can play on Sundays. You can play any day, and you just play year round AAU basketball. All you have to do is be eligible for in high school. Just to graduate and get your credits.
Mm-hmm.
It's scary to think about, but I mean,
I don't. Yeah, I think there aren't. I get what you're saying, but I don't think there. At least I wouldn't think every kid would have that opinion. I mean, unless you're. I think if you're like if you're a really high up recruit, but not just your average kid. I don't think you're going to be.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I could see maybe a couple, but I wouldn't see like half the kids doing it. Maybe a few here and there, but I wouldn't.
It'd be very small. It'd be maybe 10 teams. I wouldn't think it'd probably maybe 10 teams if they would get 10 teams possibly. But if, like you said, if there was an elite level of talent, I could honestly see that with the money that they generate from AAU and sponsorships and Nike, Jumpman, Adidas. It's not far fetched to think about. For me, at least.
We got Jonathan here with a kind of a personal insight there. So he left Chapel Hill and went to art, and got caught. They was able to fix it. So looks like they did pretty well when he transferred.
Right.
So of course that was back when. And he'll know, well, football, we weren't very good back then. So, that was when everyone was leaving to go other places. Nobody wanted to play football now. Basketball, on the other hand, was the place to be at that point. So, have you got to catch any of our broadcasts, Brad? Do you subscribe to any of the online streaming platforms?
I have not. I haven't seen any of them yet. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Hey, if you need entertainment, Corey, Vince, and myself, we put up pretty good entertainment on the broadcast. It's not boring, that's for sure. We try to keep it interesting.
Are you talking about these that y'all do on Wednesday night or games?
No, our games.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
No, I haven't watched that. Last year I watched some online games. I haven't really watched many this year.
Yeah, we've kind of got a good relationship with Texan Live, and we have our games there for Chapel Hill, and then the other ones we picked up, they're always at least on the NFHS. I think so. it's been a lot of fun. We kind of got to pick and choose games we wanted. So we're looking at some games next week. There's some good matchups that could possibly next week. Of course, we know we're going to be next weekend, so that's exciting. So definitely, you'll definitely have to tune in for the next weekend. Some good games in Commerce.
I'll be anxious to call that game. I have to do my research and watch film and tape and all the good stuff. I'm excited.
So
I've got about 5 minutes. I've either got to get a charger or my battery's going to die.
oh, we can wrap it up, Brad. I would like for you to kind of go over again for those that weren't on earlier. Just kind of give them an overview of your site and everything, and how they can follow you and even even your even your insurance deal. Let them know about that too.
Yeah. So if you want to, I'm sure a lot of you are watching me from Twitter at Hoop Insider. Our website, we link it all the time, but it's hoopinsider.net. So a lot of the playoff information I'm updating will be on there. Hoopinsider.net, at Hoop Insider on Twitter. We got Hoop Insider as our Facebook page, Hoop Insider Facebook page, and then to like. And then we got the Hoop Insider Basketball Talk Facebook group. And it's a private group, so just ask to join. As long as I see you're from Texas, I'll wait. I get like spam accounts and stuff that try to get in. I don't let them in. And then I'm in some other Texas basketball, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff they're posting in there. But I'm just like, I don't allow that in my group. So if you go in there, we're only going to talk basketball. Nobody's going to be trying to sell you jerseys or anything.
Nice.
Or whatever. So Hoop Insider Basketball Talk Facebook groups. Facebook group, you should join that if you're on Facebook. So yeah, I anybody watches any of my live broadcasts, they know by now that I sell insurance. I do hoop so believe it or not, I know a lot of people. Some people come up to me and say, "Hey, is Hoop Insider? Is that your job?" And I'm like, "No, I don't get paid anything for this." But I tell you what, if you want to support me, support my insurance business and get a free quote from me. And actually, I'm an independent, so my company's broker with 12 auto and 20 plus homeowners. So I can shop a lot of companies, and I've literally saved coaches thousands. Like, I wonder if people think I'm making that up. I literally saved more than 10 coaches, like an average of like $1,000. So there's a lot of people out there. People don't normally shop their insurance very much, and so they just don't realize there's a lot of savings out there. So I'm able to save a lot of people money. And so if you want to support me, get a quote from me, and that would help me out. Y'all don't realize how much that would help me, for those of you watching. So that's everything I do. Hoop Insider. I sell insurance full time. I'll be at the state tournament. So I don't know. You guys going to the state tournament?
Man, I wish I could.
I wish. I won't say I wish. I don't know what my schedule is gonna look like then.
Yeah, you got a little bit less tight schedule than I got.
That's true.
The week after regional tournament, I will be starting T-ball. I'm assistant coach in 2 T-ball teams. So that's 4 practices a week for a little bit, and then we got games. Man, I'm about to get ramped up busy. Plus doing all this other stuff. We've got some big things coming down the pipe for the network. So stay tuned. Anybody watching, stay tuned with that. And hoping to keep a good, close relationship with Brad. We appreciate you coming on today, Brad. Hopefully we can.
Yeah. And another thing I was going to say, anybody wants to reach out to me, my phone number, you can call me, text me, anybody for basketball or insurance. My cell's 409-988-4336, and holler at me. And I appreciate y'all bringing me on. And if you see me at the state tournament, I know y'all aren't going, but definitely say hi to me. But
now that I know who's taking the pictures of all the medalists, I'm gonna actually tag and retweet.
Yeah, I'm maybe one of these days when my kids are a little bit bigger and I can take 1 or maybe 2 of them with me, and then my wife won't she won't care because she'll have the house to herself at that point. So, but I like to go. I went. It's been probably 12 or 13 years since I've been. We used to go down and like about 4 of us, and we'd get a hotel and we'd stay all week.
Yeah, it's been probably that long. It's been over 20 years. The last state championship game I saw was TJ Ford and those guys.
That's been a
Ooh.
while.
Man,
Hey, I met TJ Ford, by the way.
Oh man,
I got his cell number.
Oh, don't
don't tease us. Don't tease us, Brad.
Don't do that. I have my pen ready. Like, man, come on. His son is pretty good though. I've been watching.
He wanted me to come cover his tournament. So I guess if I call him, I maybe tell him I go because he's got his own little circuit thing. So he wanted me to come. So I got his cell phone and talked to him once he wanted me to come.
We need to
out
cover that.
it.
We cover that, Corey.
Hey, if you go check out my Facebook page, I did take a picture with him. Like if you go scroll down my news feed a couple of years, I took a picture with him.
Awesome.
So.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, Brad, thanks again for coming on. Again, guys, go follow Brad, Hoop Insider. If you want to know anything going on with high school basketball on the boys' side, he is a man to go to. So give him a follow, like. Remember, if you need some insurance, he's also your man. Go check him out. For Brad and Corey, I'm Brett. We'll catch you next time right here in the weekly wrap-up show. Remember, we'll be in Rains, Texas, Friday night for Chapel Hill versus Canton. Corey Vincent and I will be on the call. We'll be on TexanLive.com. The link will be posted soon. So we'll see you then. Good night, everyone.
Hey, Brad, give us a follow back.
Follow Brad.
Oh, I've heard that a few times.
Right.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.